Oh yeah, brother! All right, yeah, I'm not really a fan of wrestling or anything like that, but certainly Randy Savage has, transcended from wrestling into popular culture, especially with like Slim Jim commercials. Anyway, that was a terrible segue. These are brother knives, and yeah, that's kind of where I got that whole stupid shtick from. So, apologies and all that sort of good stuff. Yeah, something I've kind of been aware of these guys for a little bit due to, we hail Paddy from across the shock. And yeah, I was just kind of interested in them a little bit. So I decided to pick some of them up. This one's going to be an outlier, so I will set him aside and we'll talk about him here in a minute. But yeah, all three of these guys are slip joints. And much traditional kind of, they are all pinned. There's no, user maintainable hardware on them or anything. Take that for what you will. It happens with a lot of traditional slip joints. It's not exactly my personal favorite, but it's got hundreds of years of tradition. So what? What do you know? All right. Something that I will say, and I haven't seen much of it lately, but they have at least dabbled in doing knockoff knives in the past. I've seen them do a knockoff of the Benchmade Bugouts and some Spyderco variants, Delica, Endura, PM2, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. And yeah, at that point, they were even listing them using their names in there. I mean, obviously, they weren't, a full counterfeit. They were using their name and everything on it. So they weren't trying to pass them off. But yeah, really don't like to see that. However, pretty much all of the new knives that I've seen are kind of more traditionals like these, and they've made a couple of fixed blades. And, that's happened with companies in the past. Gonzo has certainly copied some, like the Rat Model 2 and whatnot. And, yep, even a paramilitary, I think it was the Para 3 that they ended up doing. That one was a little different, had an access lock on it, but still, yeah. So yeah, not exactly my favorite thing, but I do like to see that when companies are moving away from that. So all right, yep, with all that out of the way, I do want to take a look at this one first because as you can see down here on the table, looks just a little bit different. And yeah, this guy's got kind of olive green micarta. The micarta on it's not bad. It's got a little bit of texture, but fairly polished. Kind of think of Civivi's micarta, but just a little higher level of sanding to it, and there you go for it. They are contoured, which is it's pretty nice. The fit and finish on the back here, it's not absolutely immaculately perfect, but there's no gaps or anything like that. And yeah, as I had mentioned, yep, they're all pin construction. So this has got a nail neck on it, but it's got enough access that I can actually pinch it to pull it out. So I will do that, and yeah, as you can see, this guy, I wouldn't necessarily call it exactly a half stop, but it certainly stops before you close, like maybe a 45 instead of a 50 half stop sort of thing, whatever. Yeah, and then you got the pull out there, and the spring on here, the back spring is fairly significant. It's not difficult or anything like that, but it will certainly keep that blade in the open position. What is unfortunate is this portion right here, and I've been playing around with this thing for a couple of weeks now. From here to here, not too bad. The action from here to here, there feels like there's some grinding on there. And, I've perfectly oiled these things and whatnot. It does kind of feel like the side of the blade tang is actually rubbing up against one of these bolsters here. So that's probably why that's not smoothing out all that much. But, if you're just kind of using it as a work knife, then sure, that works fine. What does kind of set these guys aside a little bit is the fact that they're using supposedly VG10 for their steel. I had mentioned something before about the fact that I'm actually a little unsure if China is still able to get shipments of VG10. So they might be doing what they're labeling as VG10 and using kind of their equivalent, which is 10CR15 MOV or 10CR or 10CR15 COMOV, blah blah blah, whatever. That's kind of like their their alphabet soup of kind of an open source or whatever recipe for it. That being said, yeah, VG10 is a specific steel. It's made by Hitachi Industries. And from what I understand, there was one company that was shipping it over to China for a lot of those. And I think somewhere around a year or maybe two ago, they stopped doing that business. There's still a lot of companies out there who are making knives in VG10. Kaiser certainly comes to mind, especially with their Damascus that has supposedly VG10 for the core. And I'm not sure if they just still have some stock left or if they have actually moved over to 10CR15 MOV or if all of my information is absolute bullshit. I have no idea, really. That's just, some things I've read and something that does concern me a little bit. But yeah, these guys are in VG10 here, which, hey, it's a nice steel. Something about this one in particular, and I'll probably mention it on some others here, this one has a nice sharpening choil, and they completely decided to ignore it and have a nice smile there at the end of the blade, which, what are you going to do? It is kind of a budget knife. I think this thing was like $30 or something like that. So, yeah, it's a little unfortunate. It is unfortunate to see that when they did actually put the effort of putting any sharpening choil in there and just kind of ignored it. If it really does bother me, I can flatten that out and resharpen it, but it is what it is. Oh yeah, this one is the model 1510. Alright, this is the next one. And yeah, this guy's in carbon fiber, as is the other one down here. And they actually do a pretty darn good job with the carbon fiber. There's no voids anywhere, including, up at the top mill lines or anything like that. So that's absolutely fantastic. This guy is fairly proud, so I can also pinch him there. And this guy has a bit of a better action to him on both kind of poles. This is absolutely a textbook Wharncliffe. That's pretty fantastic. We do have just an itty bitty tiny little bit of a smile going on there at the very end, but hey, what are you going to do, huh? This is the 1508. The shield on this one's a little bit different, but yeah, this one is probably my favorite out of the bunch. It is nice to just have a traditional Wharncliffe. This is fairly similar to one of the first pocket knives that I actually ended up having. It didn't start life as a Wharncliffe, but by the time it was given to me and I dealt with the blade, it ended up being a Wharncliffe. As they, it was, kind of curved up a bit, and they snapped the tip off, and I ended up grinding it down or whatever. This is, excuse me, a little bit longer than my initial one. This one is, I would say, geez, I'm so all sorts of not in camera frame. But as you can see, it kind of pokes at the 3-inch margin there, but with that there at the end, just shy of 3 inches. So it should be relatively great for a great many places, unless you're in the unfortunate places of Europe, though, where you can't even carry a knife that's close to 3 inches, which, hey, it does kind of exist. But yeah, something that I had failed to mention on this one, but it does apply to this as well, is on the inside here, these liners, they could use with a little rounding off on the inside there. And it's something easily that I kind of plan on doing with my little triangle sharp maker rods or whatever, because they are super duper sharp. Which, I mean, they're not going to cut you or anything like that, but you certainly feel it when you're squeezing down on there. And just having a little bit of a contour on the inside, that would just be, that much better. So I will end up doing that. This is the 1508. And yeah, Oh, I can kind of go on this a little bit here, and yeah, they're not too bad as far as centering. The micarta guy does favor one side a little bit, and as they're all pinned construction, not a dang thing you can really do about it. All right, and then this guy, which is interesting. I kind of like some things about it, but there's also some things I really don't like about it. For one, you can see, hey, spot on for the alignment until I touch the blade, either direction. Yeah, so this guy isn't exactly the most snugly pinned thing ever. And this one has a nail nick, and not enough really for me to pinch on to it. So I really do have to use the nail nick, and I'm really not a huge fan of nail nicks in general when I have to use them. But hey, there you go. All right, so yep, this one's got a half stop as well, and you know you can pull them out there. I don't remember the name of this pivot color. It's like a bullseye color or something like that because it's copper, and then you got the steel or brass probably in this case. But yeah, this is a very very traditional, very very neutral coffin-esque style kind of blade. I do like the shape on it. This one, yeah, it's got some blue G10 liners on the inside. I think they make another one in red or something like that. And that's all fine and dandy and whatnot. You can see it's a little bit off as far as the actual lockup there goes. What I really don't like about this thing is, yeah, as I was mentioning before, I got a lot of blade play going, back and forth. And unfortunately, I have blade play up and down too. So, as neat and, slimline as this thing is, it's certainly not their highest quality piece. And, it will certainly serve you if you're just cutting off string, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. That's fine. But if you are doing anything like a little bit harder, including, cutting up some boxes and things like that, not exactly my favorite, just because of the fact that I have vertical and horizontal blade play on it. Yeah, and I do feel a little bit of a grindy in the action there. But at least the springs on all of these guys are, right where they need to be. So that's great at least. And yeah, the VG10, I haven't actually tried to sharpen these guys yet. Most of that comes down to the fact that, the blades are really, really thin, which makes it difficult for any kind of clamp-based system to actually clamp on there and get you any kind of angle that you might want to actually do. So with that being said, a lot of those I will end up doing on the belt grinders, the Ken Onion, Work Sharp Precision Adjust, or not Precision Adjust, but the Ken Onion Work Sharp with the blade grinding attachment and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, they do a pretty darn good job with their carbon fiber, and a pretty acceptable job with their micarta. The fit and finish on them is very acceptable for the price. Like I said, these were probably somewhere around $25 to $30 a piece. And hey, at least it is, full real carbon fiber, and it doesn't have any voids in it. So that's certainly better than some companies I've seen, unfortunately. But yeah, so I wanted to talk about those a little bit. Now this one here is a little bit different. It's in G10. And not just the blue liner here. This does have red liners on the inside, but the outside is also G10. You can see this guy has a lockback. You're like, all right. And for whatever reason, it doesn't exactly have the most amazing fit and finish on the lockback there. But as far as the action on this thing, I don't know what kind of wizardry they got going on in there. It feels like ball bearings. It is so incredibly smooth. This is a lockback, so it doesn't really have a half stop or anything like that. And yeah, it's just the standard round sort of thing in there. But man, it's super super smooth. And this is another traditional pattern of some sort. I couldn't exactly tell you the name of it. But it's very, very comfortable. This is the 1502G, by the way. What does set this thing apart? It is a little bit cheaper. It's N440C. It's not VG10, so it's not, any kind of upscale kind of steel compared to the other slip joint guys. But it's still a super, super nice knife in a traditional, standard pappy kind of thing. And yeah, this one is right at 3 inches. Now, this one does basically require the nail nick. You can, I guess, here at the back end, pinch that, but it is easy enough to pinch at the nail nick to be able to pull it out instead of having to dig your finger in there. And yeah, I do like this guy quite a bit. I would still say I would prefer not having pins in these things, but hey, I mean they seem to be shifting gears to a lot of traditional knives, and hey, they've been that way for a long time. Heck, even Spyderco up into the Delica and the Endura 3s were all pinned construction. Even their what they now call lightweight handles, they were all pinned because they didn't really expect anybody to do absolutely any maintenance on them whatsoever. Starting with the Delica and Endura 4s, they actually added screwed construction so you could take them apart. And I was really excited and did that with one of mine, and I tried for a very long time to try to put it back together. I was a little more inexperienced with lockbacks at the time, and yeah, it's gotten a little bit easier, but still not exactly something you want to do, but I like the fact that you can do that. Whereas on any of these, you would actually need a pen punches and hammers and whatnot to be able to disassemble it, and then good luck trying to reassemble it with the different diameters of pins that you would need and everything like that. But yeah, this guy is super rock solid when it is closed up there. So the lockback is doing its job very, very nicely. And yeah, I mean, the red liners are okay. I could do without it, but it was kind of a better choice than I think lime green. That might have been the other liner choice that they'd have. But yeah, that was just kind of me wanting to talk a little bit about these brother knives, because I was a little bit curious on them, and I've heard some good things on them. And yeah, those were kind of my thoughts. Pretty mixed in general. I can't say they're bad knives outside of this one, which kind of makes me sad because I do like the form factor and everything, but its fit and finish and everything just doesn't really instill a lot of confidence in me. But yeah, I mean, they're nice knives. They do a pretty good job with their handle scale materials, whether it's G10, carbon fiber, micarta, anything like that. And yeah, like I said, I haven't sharpened the blades yet, so I haven't really put them through a whole lot of cutting. I have used the Warncliffe here for opening up some other knives and whatnot, but not a whole lot yet. But I do plan on putting them through a little bit of their paces just to see if it's anywhere near kind of the other VG10 stuff that I'm familiar with from the past, whether it's Spyderco. I had an Almar knife a long, long time ago in VG10. The way that's going is kind of sad. I mean, Almar hasn't been around with us for quite a while, and his name is still popular, especially with like tactical folks and everything. And it's been sold, and most of their knives are now kind of going the cheaper Chinese route. So you don't really have the SERE 2000 or the Hawk or any of those things anymore. You have a lot more generic looking kind of things that still have that name to it. Unfortunate, but it happens. Whatever. Anyway, that was completely way off base. So yeah, it was fun. I don't mind these knives at all. I don't really plan on getting rid of them, but they might not get all that much pocket time compared to a lot of the other slip joint jewelry that I got floating around. But here you go. There's my thoughts on that. So yeah, I appreciate y'all for watching. Have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo. And subscribe.